My husband said, "If you don't give me what I want, I'll make sure the court destroys you." I replied, "Do what you need to." He didn't know I'd already met with someone the day before. When he opened the court notice and realized whose signature was on it, he sat down on the floor, speechless. My name is Natalie. I'm 35, and I spent 7 years married to someone who turned into a stranger. Or maybe he was always a stranger, and I was just too blind to see it. Either way, the man I thought I knew disappeared somewhere around year 5, replaced by someone who saw me as an obstacle instead of a partner. Logan and I met when we were both 26. He was working retail management. I'd just gotten a decent job with steady income and benefits. Nothing glamorous, but stable. We dated for 2 years before getting married in a small ceremony that his parents paid for because we were still building our savings. Those first few years were good. We weren't rich, but we were happy. At least I thought we were. The shift started slowly. Around year 5, Logan became obsessed with what other people had. His friends were buying houses, taking European vacations, driving new cars. Suddenly, our apartment wasn't good enough. Our used Honda wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. He started making comments about how I wasn't ambitious enough and how I'd settled for mediocrity. Never mind that I worked 50 hours a week and paid most of our bills, while he'd quit his management job to focus on starting a business that never actually started. By year 6, the criticism became constant. Everything I did was wrong. The way I dressed, the way I talked, the friends I had, the hobbies I enjoyed. He'd roll his eyes when I spoke, interrupt me mid-sentence, make little comments designed to chip away at my confidence. "That's a stupid idea. Why would you think that? God, you're so boring." Sometimes I tried talking to him about it, multiple times. He'd either deny there was a problem or flip it around and say I was too sensitive, that I couldn't take a joke, that I was making him feel like he had to walk on eggshells. Classic manipulation. I just didn't recognize it then. 3 months ago, things came to a head. We were at dinner with his friends, another couple he'd been trying to impress for months. The guy, Trevor, worked in finance and wouldn't shut up about his Tesla and his stock portfolio. Logan was hanging on his every word, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, touching his arm when he talked. I sat there feeling invisible. On the drive home, he started in on me. "You barely said anything tonight. You made us look so boring." I said plenty. You just weren't listening. Trevor was talking about real things, investments, growth. Meanwhile, you're sitting there like a mute. Trevor's an ass who spends the whole night bragging about money. He went silent, that dangerous kind of silent. When we got home, he exploded. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You have no drive, no ambition. You're content to just exist. Do you know how embarrassing that is for me?" "Embarrassing? I work hard. I pay our bills." "You work a mediocre job, and you're fine with it. You have no goals, no plans, nothing. I didn't sign up to be stuck in this life forever." "Then what did you sign up for, Logan? Because it seems like you signed up for someone else's life, and you're pissed that I'm not giving it to you." Wrong thing to say. He went nuclear, screamed at me for an hour about how I'd ruined his life, how he'd wasted his 20s on me, how he deserved better. I let him scream. Then I went to sleep in the guest room. The next morning, he was eerily calm, made coffee like nothing had happened. That's when I knew something had shifted. He'd made a decision about something. For the next 2 weeks, Logan was cold but civil. He stopped criticizing me, which should have been a relief, but instead felt ominous. He was planning something. I could feel it. Then came the conversation. He sat me down on a Saturday afternoon with this practiced, rehearsed tone. "Natalie, I think we both know this isn't working. I think we should separate." I wasn't surprised, but hearing it still hit hard. "Okay, if that's what you want. I want the apartment. You can move out. Find your own place. I'll stay here." "The apartment that's in my name, that I've been paying for? I've been living here for 7 years. I have just as much right to it." "Legally, no, you don't. But we can figure something out that's fair." His expression hardened. "I'm not asking, Natalie. I'm telling you. I'm keeping the apartment and I want half of everything. Your retirement account, savings, everything." "That's not how this works." "That's exactly how this works. We're married, community property. We live in an equitable distribution state, not community property. And considering you haven't worked in 2 years while I've paid for everything, I don't think you're getting half of anything." He stood up, face flushed. "You think you're so smart you have no idea what I'm capable of." "What does that mean?" "It means if you don't give me what I want, I'll make sure the court destroys you. I'll tell them you were abusive, controlling, that I was afraid of you. Do you know how that plays in divorce court? They'll take everything from you and give it to me. You'll be lucky to keep your car." I stared at him. This man I'd loved, supported, tried so hard to make happy. He was threatening to lie about me, to destroy my reputation, to commit fraud. And he said it so casually, like he was discussing what to order for dinner. Do what you need to, I said quietly. He smiled, actually smiled. You should think very carefully about this, Natalie. I'm serious. I know you are, I said. And I'm serious too. Do what you need to. He stormed off to the bedroom. I went for a walk that lasted 3 hours. Here's what Logan didn't know. I'd already met with someone the day before that conversation, a divorce attorney named Patricia Molina. I'd been documenting everything for 6 weeks, every insult, every criticism, every threat. I had a notebook full of dates, times, and quotes. I had text messages saved. I had emails. I'd even started recording our conversations on my phone. Legal in our state as long as one party consents, and I was consenting to recording myself. When Logan threatened to lie about abuse, I captured every word. Patricia had been clear. If he files first and makes those accusations, you'll be on defense from day one. Even if they're false, you'll spend months and thousands of dollars proving it. File first. Preemptive strike. Use the recordings. So that's what I did. The Monday after Logan's threat, I filed for divorce, cited irreconcilable differences, requested equitable distribution of assets, included documentation of my solo financial contributions for the past 2 years. And I attached a transcript of him threatening to falsely accuse me of abuse. Patricia said it would take a week for Logan to be served. I spent that week moving my most important belongings out of the apartment little by little. My clothes, my documents, my grandmother's jewelry. I moved them to my friend Megan's place where I'd be staying. 8 days later, I was at work when my phone started blowing up. 16 calls from Logan in an hour. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. What did you do? You filed for divorce without even talking to me? I got served at work. Everyone saw it. How could you do this to me? I didn't respond. Patricia had advised me not to engage directly. All communication had to go through her. That evening, I went back to the apartment to get more of my things. Logan was there. The second I walked in, he started screaming. You filed first. You made me look like the bad guy. You threatened to falsely accuse me of abuse. What did you think I was going to do? I wasn't serious. I was just upset. You threatened to commit fraud and destroy my life. That sounded pretty serious to me. This is insane. You're being vindictive. I'm protecting myself from someone who explicitly told me they'd lie to a court to take everything I have. He was pacing, pulling at his hair. You can't do this. You have to withdraw the filing. We can work this out. No, we can't. You made your choice when you threatened me. I want to see the paperwork. I'd already left a copy on the kitchen counter. He grabbed it and started reading. I watched his face go from angry to confused to pale. He got to page 3. The attached transcript. The recording I'd made of him threatening false abuse allegations. He looked up at me, and I swear I saw something break behind his eyes. You recorded me? I recorded us. Our conversation, which is legal. You can't. They can't use this. They absolutely can. You threatened to commit perjury. That's documented now. So if you try to claim I was abusive, this recording proves you plan to lie about it. He sat down on the floor, just collapsed onto the tile, stared at the paperwork like he couldn't process what he was seeing. You've ruined everything, he whispered. No, you ruined it when you decided I was an ATM instead of a wife. I grabbed the last of my things and left. He didn't try to stop me. The next few weeks were a nightmare of legal back and forth. Logan hired his own attorney, some guy named Rick Chambers, who had a reputation for being aggressive. He tried every tactic, claimed the recording was obtained illegally. The judge shot that down immediately, since our state is one-party consent. Tried to argue that I'd abandoned the marital home. Patricia countered with documentation that I'd been paying 100% of the rent and had every right to leave when threatened. Then Chambers tried to paint Logan as a victim of financial abuse. Claimed I'd forced him to quit his job and made him dependent on me. Patricia pulled out Logan's text messages from 2 years ago. Messages where he begged to quit work because he hated dealing with customers and promised he'd figure something out for income. He never did. The mediation session was brutal. Logan showed up with red eyes and a tissue box, playing the part of the wounded spouse. But every time Chambers tried to claim he deserved half of everything, Patricia referenced another piece of documentation. Bank statements showing I'd paid 100% of expenses. Screenshots of Logan's luxury purchases on credit cards I was responsible for. Text messages of him berating me for not making enough money while he made zero. The turning point came when the judge asked Logan directly, Mr. Harrison, is it true that you threatened to falsely accuse your wife of abuse in order to gain advantage in divorce proceedings? Logan looked at Chambers. Chambers looked at his notes. Neither said anything for a long moment. I was upset, Logan finally said. I said things I didn't mean. But you did say them. I wouldn't have actually... That's not what I asked, the judge said. Did you make that threat? Yes. The judge looked at him over his glasses. I don't take kindly to threats of perjury in my courtroom, even threats that weren't carried out. It suggests a willingness to manipulate the legal system for personal gain. Logan started crying, real tears this time. The final settlement was this. I kept the apartment, my retirement account, and my savings. Logan got his car, his personal belongings, and $15,000 as a lump sum, basically reimbursement for his contributions during the first 3 years when he was working. No alimony, clean break. Chambers tried to argue for more, but the judge shut him down. Said the recording and Logan's admission made it clear he'd been planning to exploit the system, and he wasn't rewarding that behavior. Logan signed the papers without looking at me. We were officially divorced 6 weeks after I filed. It's been 4 months since everything finalized. I'm still in the same apartment, though I've redecorated. Got rid of furniture that reminded me of him, painted the bedroom, made it mine again. Logan moved in with his parents initially. I heard through mutual friends that he blamed me for humiliating him and ruining his reputation. He told people I'd secretly recorded him and ambushed him with legal papers. Conveniently left out the part where he threatened to falsely accuse me of abuse. Most of our mutual friends saw through it. The ones who knew us both knew what he'd become in those last 2 years. A few took his side, but honestly, good riddance. If they believed his victim narrative without asking questions, they weren't really friends anyway. Last I heard, Logan got a job at a marketing firm, entry level, since he'd been out of work so long. Apparently, he's struggling with the adjustment of actually working again and not having someone else's income to spend. Me, I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. The apartment is peaceful. No more criticism, no more walking on eggshells, no more feeling like I'm not enough. I've reconnected with friends I drifted away from, started going to the gym, even went on a couple of dates, though nothing serious yet. The best part? My finances are finally mine. No more credit card bills for Logan's self-care purchases. No more explaining why we can't afford something when I'm the only one working. I'm saving money again, actually building something for myself. People ask if I regret marrying him. Honestly, no. I learned who I don't want to be with. I learned what I won't tolerate. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. And I learned to trust my gut when something feels wrong. That recording was the smartest thing I did. Without it, Logan would have followed through on his threat. He would have lied to the court, painted me as an abuser, and probably gotten away with it because society tends to believe accusations without proof. That recording didn't just protect my assets. It protected my reputation, my future, maybe even my freedom. Would I do anything differently? Maybe file for divorce sooner. Maybe recognize the warning signs when the constant criticism and contempt started. But I'm not beating myself up about it. Sometimes you have to live through something to learn from it. Logan made his choice when he decided I was an obstacle instead of a partner. When he saw me as a resource to extract value from, rather than a person to share life with. When he threatened to weaponize the legal system against me, I just made sure I was ready when he did. People keep asking what happened to Trevor and his wife. They're still friends with Logan, as far as I know, which tells me everything I need to know about Trevor. Yes, the recording was legal. I checked with multiple attorneys before I did it. One-party consent state. I was part of the conversation. Know your local laws before trying this. For those asking if I ever loved him, yes, I did. Very much. That's why this hurt so badly. But love isn't enough when the other person sees you as a tool instead of a human being.